Opioids are a type of drug that originally takes its name from the opium poppy, and they are part of the depressant class of drugs. The first opioid that people might think of will be heroin, but it's also important to remember that in Victoria, pharmaceutical opioids like oxycodone, methadone and fentanyl contribute to more overdose deaths than heroin. Opioids attach themselves to opioid receptors in the central nervous system, and what that does is it slows down a person's breathing and heart rate, and if these slow down too much, this is what can lead to an opioid overdose. So some of the signs of an opioid overdose will be things like shallow or stopped breathing, a lack of consciousness and being unresponsive to stimuli, as well as things like cold and clammy skin, blue fingertips or lips. We're looking to try to reduce associated harms related to substance use rather than taking any sort of abstinence-based or punitive approach. So that means we do encounter opioids as well as a lot of other substances while at work. And because of that, we train all of our staff on using Naloxone, as well as holding regular trainings for our residents as well. Naloxone is a drug that will temporarily reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. It's available at participating pharmacies in Australia for free as part of the federal government's Take Home Naloxone program. It's just also important to remember with Naloxone that it only reverses the effects of an opioid overdose and won't work for things like GHB, alcohol or benzodiazepines. Naloxone is safe to use even if it turns out the person isn't having an opioid overdose, and side effects are very rare. It is important to remember though that someone that's a regular user of opioids may start to suffer withdrawal symptoms after Naloxone has been administered. So one of the most important things to remember when administering Naloxone is to call 000 first and ask for an ambulance. The great thing about that is the operator will be able to walk you through the steps involved over the phone. And as far as administering the Naloxone, it's pretty simple. It's taking the Naloxone out from its packet and delivering one full dose into the person's nostril when they're tilting their head back. It's really important to stay with the person afterwards as well, as the Naloxone is going to wear off a lot quicker than the opioid that they've had, and they're actually at risk of overdosing again without even taking more opioids. So encouraging them to attend hospital with the ambulance is really great. International Overdose Awareness Day is an important day because it's a day to acknowledge those that have been lost to overdose and acknowledge them without stigma and judgment, which is something that's really common about overdose and substance use in general. It's also a day to call for change to punitive drug laws, and call for things like a second medically supervised injecting room in Melbourne, call for change in things like police carrying Naloxone. And it's just a day to acknowledge those that we've lost. And people should really care about this because it's, we're talking about the tragic loss of human life that can be prevented. So I think one thing Melburnians should know about homelessness, it can be easy to sort of think that a lot of people, have substance use issues that lead to homelessness, but often we find it's substance use issues can be more of a symptom of homelessness rather than a cause. And that, the experience of homelessness can really exacerbate some substance use issues. So I highly encourage everyone to check out our friends at Harm Reduction Victoria, which are a great peer-led organisation. They've got lots of online resources as well as holding monthly online trainings for free via their website. So I definitely encourage everyone to check them out.